Quit slacking off. You want the tentacle again?
Hello there, and welcome to the If It Swims podcast, the multi-species angling podcast. For 1313 Media, I am Bret Bolton. Joining me for episode 9 are Justin Wingert.
Hey, man. How's it going?
Good. And Dave Spear.
YOLO.
YOLO.
Awesome. Thanks for joining, guys. This month, we're checking to see if anyone went fishing, sharing some fish-related news, and as always, the fish of the month.
I'm sure somebody went fishing, but
I'm sure.
Is it any of the three of us?
That's an excellent point. We'll start there. Justin?
No.
Awesome. Mr. Spear?
I have a long distance fishing story. I got on an airplane. I flew all the way.
That's right, you did.
Yeah. I flew all the way to Hawaii.
Well, lay it on us.
And I came back home with a skunk.
Oh, it happens.
And, I didn't spend that much real time on it. We were on a short trip, right at a week to visit 2 islands. But I spent a couple of hours just probing the breakwaters in the salt.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of little crabs bouncing around. So I threw some crabs and bait fish. But one morning I got a wild hair because I saw some fresh water that I thought, like somebody had told me, there was going to be maybe some peacock bass in. So I was real excited.
Mm-hmm.
And I was up early.
Were they laughing when they told you this?
No. It was actually, a guy that seemed pretty into the fact that
I
was fly fishing.
Full of peacock bass over there.
Yeah. So anyway, I get to this spot because of the time difference, right? I'm already up at 5:30 in the morning. So I get to this spot before dawn and start throwing some flies. And I'm there for probably about 45 minutes. It gets light. All the locals start coming and walking around, because it's in the park. And a guy stops me and he says, you fishing, huh? You fly fishing. You might want to just walk across the street and try the salt because I don't know about this pond. And I don't know if you guys remember, but we talked about a fish in our last podcast that I said that I believe they live on hopes and prayers and they don't actually eat anything.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
He said, this pond is just full of tilapia.
Oh.
And the sun came up and I could see them. The whole pond was like 8 inches deep and just littered with tilapia.
So the guy who told you the peacock bass maybe really was laughing about it when he told you.
Yeah.
Justin, there are a lot of peacocks there in Florida, in Hawaii. So it is a thing. It's just maybe not that one.
Maybe this guy just didn't know what a peacock bass was, and he just thought the tilapia were peacock bass.
That could be it.
Oh, they're everywhere in there, man.
Yeah.
Can't get them to bite nothing, but they're in there.
Yeah. I bet tilapia would eat a piece of corn, Dave.
And probably. I mean, I've thrown so many different flies at it.
So have I.
When I was in, not to interrupt, but when I was in England years and years ago, I got a day to fish there. I just brought some gear from home. I wasn't set up to go after carp or anything cool while I was over there, but I was just fishing with like worms and some corn. I didn't catch anything, but this kid came by and he goes, you know what you need to do? You need to go down on the bank there, grab a handful of the weed. He called it the weed. Tie it around your hook, and that's what you're going to catch the brim on. And all I could think about was over here in England, they catching fish on weed. I went down there and I looked at it, but it was just like all slimy, and I was like, I'm good. I don't got that long to fish anyway. Yeah, the weed.
So Dave, you were completely skunked, huh?
Yeah, I was. And I mean, I spent less than 2.5 hours total fishing in a week.
Right. That wasn't what the trip was about, but there was always a chance.
There's always a chance. I was just hoping to catch something weird, something different,
Sure.
A lot of times on saltwater flats, right? Especially if you're going anywhere very different from your location, you'll find something really purple or blue or spiky.
Yeah. Probably poisonous.
Yeah.
I mean, that's still a cool trip, though.
That's a cool trip, man.
Yeah, we had a great trip. And if I go back, I'll spend a little more time and do
Sure.
fishing.
And I know your wife doesn't fish a whole lot, so it makes it a bit tougher to have a combined fishing trip.
Yeah. Hey, honey, I know it's our anniversary, but
Yeah,
we'll go
I know.
offshore for the next 16 hours.
There's that too, right?
Hey, honey, I love you. See you tomorrow.
Did you go fishing, Brett?
I did. So it's cooled off a bit the past few days, but while it was still hot, I went up to the Red River between Texas and Oklahoma to try for a new species.
Oh.
I went after short-nosed gar.
Okay. Cool.
I took a 6-weight. Actually, I took my wife's 6-weight because mine lost a fight with a truck tailgate.
No, mine lost not a fly rod, but one of my rods lost a fight with one of the heavy doors on your boat, the cabinet doors or whatever they're called.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. One of the hatches. That's right.
The hatches, right.
Yeah.
It's a tough fight for a rod to win.
It is.
Put up a good fight. No, it didn't.
I had some gar flies with me, which are really just streamers that are as close to neutrally point as possible, or as close as I could make them, to try and find one. Spoiler, I didn't find one. And I spilled my coffee as soon as I got out of the truck.
Oh,
so I probably should have gone home.
That was your omen right there.
Yeah, I did catch some spotted gar.
Oh.
And I came kind of close to getting some long nose.
Okay.
But they came unbuttoned, right?
Oh yeah. Well, I was actually a tiny bit disappointed that you caught some spotted gar because I was like, look at us.
Oh,
fish nerds. We went fishing and 3 people can't catch a fish in a month.
Yeah. Oh man. So the cool thing of the whole trip though is while I was sight fishing these gar, I caught about 24 little striped bass.
That's cool.
They would dart up from underneath the gar and grab that fly before the gar could grab it. It was super fun to watch. And if I could just watch them feed like that, I would have done it just because it was really crazy and weird. 12-inch striped bass are nothing to write home about.
That's about the only size striped bass I've caught so far.
Also managed to sight fish a couple of little tiny largemouth and a smallmouth buffalo.
Nice.
Sweet.
And I was out of there by noon.
Oh, this time of year.
Because it was 1,000,000 degrees and 99% humidity.
Yeah. Stopped for some enchiladas and a cold beer on the way home and had a nice drive home. I'm still trying to find that short nose, but it was a good day.
That does sound like a good day.
Yeah, it was nice. And I know that there's a lot of places you can go get short nose, but I want to add one to my Texas list. And they're the only one place to get them.
Have we talked about the various rare species that you and I both almost caught up there in that exact spot?
We won't, because I lost a fish up there. All right, go ahead. Say it.
No, I'll let you say it.
I lost a shovel-nose sturgeon at the bank.
Oh, man. See, when you said Red River,
yeah.
I was like, my mind was going.
Guys going after moon eye.
Yeah, do they have paddlefish up there? Do they have sturgeon?
Sure
It's a weird river. Like
they
have some weird
They
stuff.
have both.
They have
both.
paddlefish, but you know what they eat?
Oh, yeah.
They eat treble
Nothing.
hooks that people are.
Yeah, the
finding.
only way you get one is to either hook it with a giant treble hook on the Oklahoma side or floss it.
Or you do what Justin's buddy in England did.
Yeah, get a bit of the weed on there.
That's right.
They won't even eat that. I guess you could. People probably do floss them on accident all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Because that giant mouth, I'm sure it's pretty easy.
Mm.
In Oklahoma, they snag them.
Yeah. They do that in a lot of the country. I mean, I know some people that do that every year.
For paddlefish?
For paddlefish. Yeah. Missouri area.
I would not mind tasting one. I hear they're amazing.
Right.
But they're too cool looking to eat, aren't they?
They eat don't they like farm the eggs somewhere too for like fake caviar?
Yeah, they do. I don't think it's fake caviar, is it?
Well,
it's just a different caviar.
Okay, fair. It's not sturgeon caviar.
Correct, but I do believe they do farm the eggs out of them.
I don't know if it had to be literally sturgeon to actually be caviar, technically.
I
They
don't
just
know.
call it like fancy paddlefish roe.
I'm no caviar expert, you know. It just tastes like salt anyway.
Yeah, exactly. not quite as cool as the fish you almost caught, but on the same trip up there, Dave, it was during the species contest, I think, too, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
We were doing a multi-species contest across the state, and Bret nearly caught a shovel-nosed sturgeon, and I nearly caught a big-mouth buffalo.
Oh,
which is the only big-mouth buffalo I've ever seen in person, on a rattle trap. I was flinging a rattle trap around because the water started rising and started letting out more water. And I had caught a bunch of those little 12-inch stripers Bret was talking about, and something big nailed it. And I thought, oh, nice, I got a 10-pound striper on here. And I fought him for a while, and it came up to the surface, and it looked at me, opened its mouth, and spat the rattle trap at me. And I was like, I just stood there in stunned silence, and Bret turned to me, and he like opened his hand and made like, I have bad news for you, sir. And he made like a big mouth gesture with his hand. And I just went, shut the hell up.
I believe, and it was only one time. One location. I saw them more than once, but I believe I've seen pods of them, of bigmouth buffalo, somewhere up in that northern Texas vicinity.
Sure.
This was definitely the only one that I've ever seen, but like his whole head came out of the water when he spat the lure, and it was very clearly a bigmouth buffalo.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, there's no mistaking those. A black buffalo and a smallmouth, I can mistake those pretty easy.
Mm-hmm.
But that big mouth, it's got a terminal mouth.
Yeah.
It has a mouth like a trout.
Yeah.
It doesn't belong on that fish, but it has one.
I was gonna say a golden shiner, but yeah, like a trout or a large mouth.
Yeah, it's really weird looking. Dave, you mentioned last time we chatted about accidentally killing a speckled trout.
Yeah.
2 years ago, I was up there, first cast on a 6-weight. I hooked about a 12, 14-pound stripe.
Oh, wow.
Well, 20 minutes later.
You ate a 12, 14-pound snipe?
Well, I had to go by ice immediately because that fish was done. And it was like 104 degrees before I left that day. It was first cast was awesome. On top water at that, it was nice.
Oh, wow.
On a, what do you call those things? Crease fly.
Oh, yeah.
Which I think were meant to be tossed on a sink tip, though, and actually not even on top water, weren't they?
Probably.
But they make a cool little top water, you know it?
But you know what? We used to catch speckled trout in the surf on those.
Yeah.
Because, I don't know, they look like little fish.
Right. Oh, I've tried that in the surf. You know what I got?
Nada.
Ladyfish, ladyfish, ladyfish,
Oh,
ladyfish.
well, that's right.
It was nonstop on those guys.
Yeah.
So 2 out of 3 of us fishing. That's not too bad this time.
Hopefully it'll be all 3 of us soon.
Hey.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're getting into the sweet spot.
I've had some, it's been hot and I've had some stuff going on, so I haven't had a lot of opportunities yet, but hopefully soon.
So I guess we'll talk about fishing news. See if we double up anywhere, which can happen.
We may have.
Let's see. I'm gonna go first because I don't have a backup.
That's fair.
That's good.
We can just talk about yours for 20 minutes too, you know.
Well, there's also a possibility of that. So I have one from CBS News. It starts with, octopuses don't always hunt alone, but their partners aren't who you'd expect.
I do not have this story.
Oh, you're going to love this then.
All right, let's hear it.
A new study shows that some members of the big blue octopus species maraud around the seafloor in hunting groups with fish. The research, published in the journal Nature, even suggests that octopuses organize the hunting group's decisions, including what they should prey upon. What's more, the researchers witnessed this cephalid species, often called the big blue or the day octopus, punching companion fish, apparently to keep them on task and contributing to the collective effort.
Awesome.
Whoops.
Quit slacking off. You want the tentacle again?
I mean, what a ridiculous story. To understand them better, the researchers tracked 13 octopuses for a total of 120 hours using several cameras. The team followed the octopuses for 13 hunts, during which they observed groups of between 2 and 10 fish working with each octopus.
Interesting.
The hunting group
That's incredible.
typically included several species of reef fish, such as grouper and goatfish. The octopuses did not appear to lead the groups, but they did punch fish to enforce social order, most often at the black tip groupers, which apparently are problematic, is my guess. The ones that get more punched are the main exploiters of the group. Octopuses would punch the fish to keep them moving.
That's wild.
It's crazy, isn't it?
It kind of sounds like my day at work.
Dave's just going around punching all his coworkers.
No, I've had this boss before.
Yeah, that's where I was going.
It says, if the group is very still and everyone is hanging around the octopus, it starts punching. But if the group is moving along the habitat, this means they're looking for prey, so the octopus is happy and it doesn't punch anyone.
Okay.
Bizarre.
I honestly just had the Beatles song go through my head about the
Octopus's Garden. Yes.
Yeah, and I wasn't expecting that tonight.
I've got a song about an octopus.
Yeah. You know all the words, right, Justin? Hit it.
No. It says the researchers did not see evidence that the creatures shared prey. Whoever was able to catch the food got that meal. And then the last thing it says is, although octopuses have long been considered a solitary creature, for at least one species, there is quite a rich social life, although not necessarily with other octopuses. I mean, I saw a short video clip of an octopus punching a fish. It is the craziest thing ever. And they're making the fish work, or not work, making them keep going doing what they're doing so they get more food as well.
Does he like slap the fish, or does he like curl up the tentacle into like an approximation of a fist and just like deck him?
It was more of a pointed jab on the fish with the end of the tentacle.
Yeah.
But
get back to work.
Exactly. Get back to work.
Now, I saw a clip going around this month of an octopus punching a fish. So it was probably related to this story, but I saw it out of context. Like I never heard or saw the news story. And that makes it that much more fascinating.
Yeah, it's got to be the same story.
I'm sure it is. Yeah.
What a weird story.
That is really cool.
Reading the word octopuses was not easy for me because I grew up with a different plural for those animals.
Yeah.
Octopi?
Yeah. Apparently both is correct because I looked it up. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Actually, octopuses, they said, is more correct because octopus is not Latin. Therefore, octopi is not necessarily needed.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's news to me then.
Well, now we diverge into a little bit of linguistics.
Well,
before we get back
I have a bad habit of doing that anyway, as you know.
Have you met Bret before?
It may happen again later today too.
There's always the pronunciation of the fish of the month.
Oh, so bad at it. I'm so bad at it.
Well, I had not seen that story, so you definitely didn't steal mine. No. Was that yours, Justin?
It was not.
Oh, but he said he had a good one.
I have one that's pretty weird.
He said it was weird. I thought
at least it was weird.
It's going to be the same one. But that's weird.
Also, I had texted Bret that there's a small fine detail in my story that I saw on second read through, and I was like, you know what, I have to bring this story now.
Oh, is it? Okay. Well, let's hold off on yours. Let's get Dave's first.
Okay. Maybe Dave has mine.
I don't want to steal Justin's story because it sounds
no. Don't worry about it. If you have my story, I have another one.
That's true.
It's also entertaining, but I'll point out if you have the other one and you don't notice what I notice, I'll point it out.
Is it someone's name that's a fish name?
It not a fish name, but it is someone's name that relates to this. It is related to the story.
That happens around here.
Oh, see, I'm in the dark here. So I actually suck at Googling this stuff. I mean, I Google it, and I do eventually find something, but I am going to read a news story that is not necessarily recent news. I mean, it was published today, and it was news to me.
All right.
But it won't be news to everybody.
Sure.
Hopefully it's news to, the two of you and a lot of the people listening. And the headline is, why are people hanging toilet seats off of Florida's coasts?
Okay. This is also not my story.
Right.
I've
Perfect.
seen them.
Oh, well, let's learn the story. So off the coast of Plantation Key in Islamorada, you can expect to find a rather strange sight. Sitting along both sides of Short Channel are a bunch of toilet seats. The channel, aptly dubbed Toilet Seat Cut,
Of course,
is a local mainstay for many on Plantation Key.
What a place to live.
And, podcasts are great, but I wish you could see the pictures. So, according to the Florida Keys historian Brad Bertelli, the whole issue stems back to the 50s when a man named Vernon Lamp decided he wanted a shortcut to the nearby Founders Park, which was a hot place to visit at the time. In the bayside areas of the Florida Keys, the water tends to be much shallower and difficult to navigate, so he decided to clear a path through a seagrass bed to make his own shortcut. He kind of carved this little cut to make his commute or his trip aboard his boat a little shorter, Bertelli told News 6, and he put a couple of poles in it to stake the entrance and exit. Now, this process is illegal today. It poses a lot of harm to the environment. Sure. But back in the day, Lamp ultimately carved out his shortcut. But in 1960, the channel would get a new look when Hurricane Donna, one of the strongest hurricanes to hit Florida, struck the Keys as a Category 4 hurricane, killing several people, leaving destruction in its wake. In the aftermath of Donna's rampage, a toilet seat was left hanging from one of the pole markers along Lamp's cut. Apparently, he was a man with a sense of humor, so he took the toilet seat home and cleaned it, painted it, and posted it back in his little cut. In the decades to follow, the trend caught on with other locals who decorated their own toilet seats to place along the cut, earning the spot its modern moniker. These markers weren't just unique art pieces, though. They helped designate both sides of the cut so boaters didn't accidentally ground themselves in the surrounding shallow waters. Nowadays, Bertelli says, toilet seat cut is littered with dozens of these lavatorial art projects. If a storm blows one away, another one is sure to take its place.
Lavatorial art projects.
That's right.
That's great.
It's not all a joke, though. Some of them honor people who passed, people who've died, people who've moved away, Bertelli stated. There's scores of them now. Visitor Tamara Scharf kayaked out to Toilet Seat Cut to explore the site with her then fiance nearly 10 years ago. Around that time, Scharf said a local told her about the cut, which wasn't widely known even within the Florida Keys back then. We have a good sense of humor, so as soon as we heard about it, we were obsessed and just had to go out and see it, she told News 6. However, it's not recommended that people go out and put up their own contributions. It's actually against the law to put those toilet seats up. Spoiler alert. That's like a killjoy thing that the journalist boss made them put in there, or else it was going to punch him with an octopus.
Right. Also, it's also Florida, so laws are suggestions anyway.
Right. And they go on for 3 or 4 sentences, to kind of cover their butts.
Right.
You got to tell people it's illegal, or I'm going to sick suckers on you again.
That's right. But then I love this. This deputy, he says, well, nobody's been arrested for doing it yet. They do it very stealthily. And quite frankly, it has to be the Coast Guard or somebody else to enforce the navigational aid that's done properly.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, Toilet Seat Cut is open to the public, so there's plenty of opportunities to take a look for yourself.
In other words, deputy likes the toilet seats, so they ain't going nowhere.
Oh, that's good.
I hadn't heard that story, so it was welcome to me to hear the whole history.
Yeah, well, I didn't know any of the history. I was on a skiff once, and someone said, "You're not going to believe this," and there it was. And that's all it was. We went through it.
Yeah.
All right,
Justin.
let's hear it.
All right, let's see if I can find it. This is from the Scientific American.
Oh, this is legit.
And yeah, it is. And then it's legit, and it's weird, and it's got a guy with a name directly related to the story.
That's all we need.
I know. I have cavefish adolescence means sprouting taste buds in weird places.
Oh.
In eastern Mexico's underground caverns and streams, a blind fish undergoes a peculiar adolescence. As it approaches maturity, taste buds begin to sprout under its chin and the top of its head, creeping towards its back. A pretty wild amplification of the sensory system of taste, says Josh Gross, an evolutionary geneticist at the University of Cincinnati and co-author of the recent study of the cavefish. Gross and his team discovered that the new bloods blossom around the time the fish transition from eating larval crustaceans to gobbling up their adulthood stable. bat guano.
Oh.
Taste buds developed outside their mouths might help the fish detect bat droppings in the utterly dark, food-starved caves, says Gross. All right, like I said, I'm not kidding. I brought it because I read that line, and it's by a guy named Gross. I was like, you know what? I have to bring this.
No, it's good. It's good.
Goes on to talk about how lots of other species also develop technical taste buds in places you wouldn't expect them, including humans.
Pardon me?
He says, yep, that's right. Humans. Laura Bankova, a Harvard Medical School respiratory biologist, studies tuft cells, a cell type sprinkled within human mucus tissues like those lining your nostrils, throat, and gut. These rapid responder cells trigger the immune system if they detect an outside threat, and many of them rely on built-in taste receptors, the same kinds found in taste bud cells, to do so.
Okay.
Many harmful bacteria, according to Bankova, communicate via signaling chemicals called lactones, which happen to activate taste receptors attuned to bitter flavors. Evolutionary...
So germs taste bad.
Yeah, exactly. And she goes on to say that evolutionary taste receptors have moved around the body to protect us from the air we inhale and all the attacks we're getting through the orifices. They're in the inner ear, the urethra, everywhere something could get into your body. Gross says it's still a mystery what taste receptors the bat guano activates in the blind cavefish. There may be some sugar content if it's a fruit bat, or some protein content if it's our carnivorous bat, he says. But so far, only the cavefish have signed up to sample it. All right, so that's
awesome.
A short one, but I read the line and the guy's name. I was like, I have to bring that one.
Yeah.
And apologies to Mr. Gross. We are idiots, so
we
it
are
happens.
Idiots. Your study, brilliant study, but we're idiots. And we're giggling at your name, and I apologize. But
and it's only for
it's only the context. Gross is a super common name, but
it is.
It was right after someone said
about eating bat poop.
Not even eating it, tasting it with your tail.
Yeah. Or your spine,
yeah,
or your belly.
Wherever these things are. That's a weird story.
What is that? Is that bat guano? Let me just bump into it and find out. Oh yeah, delicious.
I'm having that.
All the other blind fish are like, gross. What is he doing?
Oh man. Did it say what kind of blind fish it was?
Let me check again.
I'm curious.
They're in Mexico.
It's probably a Latin name.
Blind fish. I don't.
Doesn't say. I mean, there's there's a blind cat, or there's a Texas catfish that lives in caves. I think there's two of them.
I mean, I'm sure we could probably Google it.
But that's
this
not
one in particular.
That's not how we do things.
Blind. Yeah, exactly. This one just says a blind cavefish in Mexico.
Okay, there's
nobody wants to learn. We just want to be entertained.
Yeah, there's a.
Oh wait. It might be a kind of tetra.
Okay.
Blind cave. According to the photo, there's a caption under the photo that says blind cave tetras develop taste buds on their head.
So it's a tetra. There's at least two species of blind cave catfish in Texas. And that line between Texas and Mexico is a political line, not a real one. So it could be the same fish, but it's a tetra, different fish.
Right. Okay. Definitely.
Interesting.
Do the blind cavefish in Texas also eat bat guano?
I have no idea.
I guess if it's available.
I'm sure they do.
Most likely.
We've got the bats.
Yeah, exactly.
And like a lot of mammals, bats are not the best digesters in the world. So some nutrients pass through, of course, and other animals can take advantage of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's like realistically and biologically, it's a very viable food source for an animal. It's just funny to us as humans.
Correct.
Them fish are eating poo.
Funny to you. I had guano for breakfast.
Did you taste it with your head first to make sure it was good?
Oh man.
I was using my shoulder blade at the time and just
get a little elbow action on it. Oh man, that's crazy. That was 3 wacky stories. That was a good job.
Yeah, that's a good news day for us.
Right?
So I got something for y'all.
Okay.
Oh?
It's the fish of the month.
Oh.
All right. Justin,
more
start
excitement. Is it the monkey face prickleback?
It is.
What is that?
That was from an earlier episode.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
The monkey face prickleback. And the only reason I brought that story was I wanted to say monkey face prickleback.
I don't blame you.
Is it the blind cave tetra?
It is not the toothless blind cat. That's the Texas one. All right. Our fish of the month has a native range throughout North America and Europe above the 40th parallel north, with the interesting exception of Scotland, Ireland, and a few other locations. In the UK, it is believed to be extinct, with the last known specimen recorded in 1970.
Oh, there goes my first guess.
In North America, they range across Canada and some of the northern United States. And it is one of the few fish that spawns under the ice.
I have a new guess.
It is the only member of its genus and the only freshwater member of its order. The IGFA lists the world record at 25 pounds, 2 ounces from Saskatchewan, Canada.
I have a guess.
You holding on to it for now?
I'm going to hold on to it
All
'cause I'm
right.
not sure. I have a guess.
I'm sitting
Do you-
over here mentally calculating how many.
I mean,
How many has 9 parallels?
I could throw it out if you
The
want.
40th
We've never had an early guess
The
before.
40th parallel is the northern states in Canada.
Gotcha.
Well, let me get this part for you. And I'll stop halfway through for you. How's that? One of my favorite things about fish is the diversity of the colloquial names. This fish does have a few. The lawyer, coney fish,
What?
cusk, and lock.
None of those. Well, one of those is a little familiar, but
After that,
mhm,
it's a
gets
bit more
easy.
obvious. Yeah.
I'm scrambling my brain over here thinking about.
I have a
fish
guess,
spawning
but it's
under ice.
That's a crazy
only a
thing, too.
guess.
Still want to wait for it?
I mean, I'll say it if you want me to.
Go ahead and say it.
Is it the burbot?
It might be.
Ooh.
Then things get more obvious. Freshwater ling, freshwater cod, ling cod, and to end any questions, the eel put.
Yep.
And also, finally, a scientific name I can handle.
Mhm.
Loda loda. The burbot.
The burbot.
Loda.
Yep.
That was my guess early on too. I got
Nice,
that
nice.
one. I nailed that one. Happy with
This
that.
time I give my notes first because we don't have much. So
Right, I don't have that many
Exactly,
notes for it either.
exactly.
I knew what it was. That's about it.
we don't have a lot of info on these guys because they're kind of out of our range, but we know of them. But it's a fun species to discuss. My notes are they are aggressive predators, often attacking fish as large as themselves, which is causing some issues where they've been introduced and they're not native, which I can easily imagine. They are a long, skinny fish with somewhat eel-like and somewhat catfish-like, with a single barbel
Mhm.
on their chin like a goatee.
That was going to be one of the few things I could say about them.
And Loda loda is a tantonym, which is the same name for genus and species. There are several fish on that list, but only a few come to mind immediately. The others I think of offhand are the mola mola, which is that giant ocean sunfish, and also a sailboat I spent some time on. Conger, which is obvious.
Well, the sunfish is a big enough fish to sail on.
They are, aren't they? And they're up there anyway, right?
One of the other articles I looked at today was about the hoodwinker sunfish,
Nice.
which is often confused with mola mola.
Nice. Tinka Tinka, of course, is the tench. And I know one more called Chaka Chaka, which I only know because the only thing more fun to say than Chaka Chaka is frogmouth catfish.
That can be my early guess next month. The frogmouth catfish.
Yes. So,
Wow.
you guys have anything on them?
They're supposed to be very good to eat.
Well, aren't they? Well, they're cod related,
They're basically freshwater cod. I think.
right?
I did live in a state that had them. I never caught one. I haven't seen anyone catch one. I lived in Minnesota as a teenager, and they were there, but we lived in Minneapolis, and the farther north you get, closer to Canada, the more common they are.
Sure.
But even there, they weren't like super common in the lakes or anything.
Right.
But I know people would go after them pretty heavily in winter in the lakes where they did have them. In fact, I don't actually remember ever hearing of anyone catching them other than ice fishing. I'm sure it happens, but I think like in winter, like you said, they spawn under the ice, so they're obviously very active in winter.
Right.
And I think that is the easiest time to target them from an angling perspective.
Right. And also ice fishing allows non-boaters chance to reach deeper water.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah. I honestly know I can barely even picture them. This is not a fit. I've seen the name and I've seen a picture that
Sure.
I can visualize the goatee. That's it. This is complete. This one completely stumped me. In fact, the nicknames didn't even help. That's how out of it I am on this
Eel
one.
Pout would have done it for me
Sure.
if I didn't.
I mean, I didn't.
And I recognize lawyer vaguely as people up there go, oh, I caught a lawyer fish.
Well, the funny thing is, lawyer fish was a nickname we used for a fish on this podcast before.
As a bowfin.
The bowfin,
right?
which also has weird barbels.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
A slender body and weird barbel situation.
So that's odd, huh? I think that's close to everything. You got anything else?
Not really. I think you nailed it. Pretty much all of the information I would have had for the burbot.
I had it because I didn't know what we would have on that fish,
Not a lot.
Earlier Dave mentioned me spiraling into linguistics a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Tantonyms are one of my favorite things in animals.
Nice.
Not allowed in botany, by the way.
Really?
Yep. They just can't. Nope. Can't do it. Sorry.
That's weird.
All right. So that's those guys. Over the next few weeks, send in your burbot pics and stories to FOTM at ifitswims.com. Pictures may make the webpage, and stories could make it here.
Oh, your pictures are definitely making it if you have a matching goatee, like slicked out, just like the fish,
or braided.
Somebody's got to come up
or
with
braided to match the burbot.
Yeah, like a old Viking Scandinavian braided goatee.
Yeah,
holding up a giant burbot right next to your head. If you look like that and you live in an area where burbot are, please send us that picture.
Go do that. We'll wait.
Right.
We'll still be on the air. We're not on the air, but you know.
Yeah, we'll still be here.
Still be recording.
We'll be waiting. We're waiting now.
Yeah.
Oh man, I guess that's it. Anything else from you guys before we shut this thing down today?
Man, I got hopes and dreams for October, but they do not involve tilapia.
Do they involve fish?
I have an October Fest. Does that count?
Yes.
Perfect.
Oh man, I'm going fishing Friday, but that barely counts.
Counts for me.
Well, yeah, I've got a meeting over in a weird town east of here, and I'm gonna fish a pond.
You're gonna try and catch a fantail.
I am actually.
Oh, nice.
All right, let's get out of here. Thanks for hanging out this month. Please subscribe. And if you find any of this entertaining, interesting, or funny, spread the word. Leave us a review and all that sort of stuff. We are on the web at ifitswims.com and on Instagram at if_it_swims. All links to find us are available in the show notes, along with links to items covered this month. Our music was written for us by Dallas artist Jeff Hewitt. Join us again next month, and as always, we will see you out there.